I'm now going to continue my video series on how to use a Samsung J3 Orbit smartphone by showing you how to take a photo and a screenshot with your smartphone. Now, before I begin, if you guys are new to this channel or if you are one of my recurring students and you do not know how to see my posts from my community tab on your smartphone, then I want you to go ahead and take a look at the hyperlinks below, because one of them will take you to a video that will show you exactly how to do that. Also, up on the upper right corner of your screen should be a YouTube card, and if you click that card, it will take you to a related video. Now, until I get my next lesson on my Samsung smartphone done, there probably won't be a card, but once that next lesson is done, there will be, and you'll be able to click it and you'll be able to go to the next lesson. On a lot of my other videos, I have a lot of tutorials and stuff, there are cards, and if you click them, they'll take you to the next video. But if you have a smartphone and you don't know how to see those cards, because they only appear for a few seconds, I do have a video, and the hyperlink to that is right down here in the description below. You can click that, and you can watch and see how to find those cards on your smartphone. Okay? So anyway, now before I go into the meat and potatoes of this particular video, I did get a request from somebody, and they said that if they received an attachment with their text, okay, if they're receiving a text message and they receive an attachment and it's a photo, they want to know how to download it into their phone. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to hold your finger onto the photo itself, and when you do, a drop-down menu will appear. One of the options will say Save Photo. You tap it and it saves the photo to your phone. Okay, the next thing I'm going to tell you guys is how to take a screenshot on your phone. This is real easy. You have right here a volume down button, and over here you have your power button. You hold them both at the, you just press them both at the same time. You'll have to press them both simultaneously, and when you do, you'll take a screenshot of whatever is on your phone at that moment. So that takes care of the screenshot part of it. Alright, now, taking a photo with your smartphone may seem simple enough. To start, all you have to do is tap the camera symbol on your smartphone. As you can see, the camera symbol is encased in a red button. Now, if you're watching this on my live stream, you're not seeing any of the illustrations, but if you're watching this on a regular video, there are going to be illustrations and you're actually seeing it instead of me right now. Okay? To take the photo, all you have to do is tap the white circle on the bottom of the screen. That seems pretty simple, right? Not quite. Now I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. You're like, uh-oh. Your smartphone has two lenses. Okay? One is right here. The other's on the other side. Okay? One, of course, is facing away from you, and the other is facing towards you. The lens facing away from you will take photos of what is in front of you. The lens facing towards you will take a photo of you. It's great for selfies. So how do you switch between these two lenses? There is an icon just to the right of the white circle, as you can see in the illustration that you're seeing now. This icon looks like a camera lens with two arrows surrounding it. To switch from one lens to the other, just tap the icon. The icon on the left of the white circle will take you to your photo gallery. That way you can see all the photos that are stored on your phone. I presume that you noticed all the words above the white circle. Allow me to tell you what will happen if you tap any of those words. Some older people struggle to hold their cameras steady while taking a photo. That is because their hands shake ever so slightly. Some it shakes a lot more than that, but we'll get into that. The smartphone, your smartphone, can compensate for a person's shaky hands. Just swipe the words to the right and tap the acronym HDR. After you type the acronym, just tap the white circle to take the photo. Now, what if you have shaky hands and you have to take a photo at night? The smartphone can compensate for both situations simultaneously. First, tap the word night and then tap the white circle. Not only will your smartphone compensate for your shaky hands, but it will also adjust the exposure of your lens to compensate for the lack of light due to the fact that you're taking a photo at night. Of course, I will make a recommendation. If you're not taking a photo of the night sky with your smartphone, I would bring extra lighting with you to take the photos at night. And here's the reason why. Yes, your phone has a flash. It's actually it makes a nice little flashlight too, okay? But here's the thing. After a while, this light on this camera will go out, and you know, it burns out. That's what it does. And when it does, you have to replace it. Do you know how expensive that is? You might be better off just buying yourself another phone. Well, I mean, you know, phones like this can cost you $60, $80. You want to spend that on a regular basis? If I were you, I would either get a digital camera, or if you're using a smartphone at night or in a dark room, just make sure you have extra lighting in the room. That way you don't have to use your flash. Okay. If you want to take a panoramic shot with your smartphone, you will start by tapping the word panorama. Then tap the white circle. Make sure you start taking your photo with what will be on the left side of your panoramic shot. Then slowly move your smartphone to the right until your smartphone tells you to stop. So what happens when you tap the word Pro? This camera mode will allow you to manually adjust certain settings on your smartphone so you can take professional photos. What can you adjust? Well, the first thing you can adjust is the ISO. What is ISO? For starters, it isn't an acronym as many people believe. The International Organization of Standardization stated that they coined the word ISO from the Greek word isos, which means equal. But this still doesn't tell us what the word means or how it's used on a smartphone camera. In the old days of camera film, the film was sensitive to light. Some camera film was more sensitive to light than other camera film. So if you're in a room with dim fluorescent light and lots of people dancing on a dance floor, you would probably use a high ISO number on the camera film. Okay? So in other words, when you buy your camera film, back in the old days when you had 35mm camera, you would find a high ISO number. Back in those days, they would have 200 speed, 400 speed, 800 speed, 1600 speed. Well, those speeds represented the ISO speed. The higher the number, the better you had with fluorescent light or lowly dim light or something like that. The thing is, though, that it actually made your picture grainy. Okay? And it was less capable of let's say you wanted to print your picture other than a 4x6, so you wanted to print it like an 8x10 or something. You started printing your picture larger, you could see what happened when you actually took the photo. So enlarging high ISO number photos isn't recommended. Okay? It would be better to put better lighting in a room than trying to buy something with a higher ISO number. But what about smartphone cameras? They don't use camera film, so how do they take photos? And how can people use the ISO feature on their smartphone? Let's start with a lesson about molecules. Some molecules are positively charged. They are called protons. Others are negatively charged. They are called electrons. And both these words are going to be very important in just a minute. And then there are others that have no charge at all. They are called neutrons. What does this have to do with a smartphone camera? Well, I'll explain. Give me just a second here. Okay. Unlike ISO, pixels are actually an acronym for the words picture element. Okay? So, pixels is an acronym for the words picture element. If your smartphone camera has 3 megapixels, it has 3 million picture elements. If it has 12 megapixels, it has 12 million picture elements. So what do these picture elements do? They measure light intensity. How do they do that? There is a chip inside your smartphone full of these picture elements. They detect and measure light photons. That's the positively charged molecules. The picture elements count the number of light photons that hit them. How do they do this? The picture elements detect the electrical charge of the photons. As the photons collide with the picture elements, the voltage of the picture elements increase. This data is sent to the processor of your smartphone and later stored on either the internal memory of your smartphone or on your secure digital card. Okay? The smartphone has a base ISO number. Some have 100 ISO, some 200, some 400. You'll have to check your book to see which one it is. Okay? When you increase the ISO number of your smartphone and take the photo, the smartphone multiplies the base ISO number by a number that will give you the ISO number you desire. But when you raise the ISO number, you risk having a less sharp photo. If you want to know more about ISO, feel free to research that on the internet because they'll give you a big explanation about that. The next topic I will cover is the acronym WB. The acronym stands for white balance. Why would you need to adjust the white balance of your camera? Let's suppose you have a white pillowcase. It looks white when you take it outdoors and see it in the sunlight. But what happens when you take the pillowcase indoors with fluorescent lighting? To you it may still look white, but to your smartphone camera it may not look that white. Okay? That's because of color temperature. And that color temperature is measured in kelvins. The more kelvins that are present in a photo, the more blue an object will appear in your photo. The less kelvins you have in your photo, the more orange the object will the more orange an object in your photo will appear. Okay? So if you're outdoors, you're going to have more kelvins because of sunlight. When you're indoors with the fluorescent lights, you're going to have less kelvins. And it's going to turn the object from blue to orange. Okay? Remember, sunshine produces more kelvins than fluorescent light. When you tap the WB acronym, you will see several icons. The first one should be easily recognizable. It's the sun icon. You will use this when you're outdoors and the sun is shining bright. Well, what if it's a cloudy day? Tap the cloud icon. What if you're in a room with incandescent light? Tap the light bulb icon. What if you're in a room with fluorescent light? Okay, then you're going to see a square box. It's probably more like some kind of a chip, okay? Because this would be some kind of... Fluorescent lights are a lot like an electronic light, okay? And so therefore, they're using a chip to represent that, okay? And there is a letter I inside that box. You tap it, and you can take your picture in fluorescent lighting. The final icon you will see when you tap the word Pro is the exposure icon. It looks like a circle with a plus sign and a minus sign inside the circle. And you'll see a divider line between the plus and the minus. Okay? This sets the shutter speed of your smartphone camera. It determines how long light will collide with the picture elements of your smartphone camera. And this will affect white balance and everything else. You can also record videos with your smartphone. Now, what would you do if you wanted to take several shots of your children playing without pressing the white circle over and over again? Just tap the words continuous shot, then hold down the white button, and the camera will take continuous photos until you release the white button or until you run out of memory on your smartphone. Now, let's take a look at the icons on the top of the screen. The first one you'll see is a cogwheel. This is the camera settings icon. Go ahead and tap it. Boy, you're going to see a lot of settings. The camera on this smartphone can take 8 megapixel photos. This is the maximum megapixel size this camera can take. If you want larger megapixel photos, you will either have to buy a more expensive smartphone or you'll have to buy a decent digital camera. You can change the aspect ratio of the photos you take with this smartphone. But if you do, you will reduce the megapixels of the photos you take. By the way, the aspect ratio of your photo refers to the length and the width of your photo. Okay, that's what the 4:3 means. It'd be 4 inches by 3 inches. You can also control the aspect ratio of the videos you record using this smartphone camera. The camera has 3 video modes, well, 3 main ones. The first is FHD, which is an acronym for full high definition. The second mode doesn't have an acronym, but the resolution of the second mode is actually less than the first one, which is the FHD. The final mode is known as the VGA mode. The acronym VGA stands for Video Graphics Array. It has the smallest video resolution of the 3 main modes. But there is actually one more mode available with your smartphone. It really has the lowest video resolution. It's known as the HEVC mode. HEVC is an acronym for High Efficient Video Coding. Converting HEVC videos can be a real chore because not all video processors can process HEVC videos. I'm not really sure if Nero can do that, but I'm sure there's something that can actually do that. You can place grid lines on your photos once you've taken them. You can also add location tags to your photos. This will indicate where the photos were taken. Do you recall the camera modes I discussed earlier in this video? How I discussed ISO, HDR, panoramic, continuous shot, and so on? You can turn these modes on and off permanently. Just tap the words camera mode and then tap the edit modes. Okay? So what shooting methods can you choose? First, you can do one of 3 things with the volume button. You can take photos or record videos or use the volume button to zoom in on an object before taking a photo, or you can set a system volume. You can add a floating shutter button on your smartphone screen, which you can use when you're taking a photo. You can tap your screen to take a selfie, and you can set a mode where you can place your palm in front of the outer camera lens to force the camera to take a selfie of you. The one thing you don't want to do is store all your photos inside your smartphone's internal memory. Remember, the apps on your phone will take up a lot of memory in your smartphone. So I recommend that you purchase a micro-secure digital card and insert it into your smartphone. Then tell the smartphone to store your pictures there. You can quickly turn on the camera on your smartphone by pressing the home key twice. You can also review photos immediately after you take them. Your smartphone automatically makes a shutter snapping sound when you take a photo. You can turn this sound effect on or off. The next icon you see at the top of your smartphone screen is a lightning bolt with a line drawn through it. This controls the flash bulb on your smartphone camera. You can set the flash so that it will activate every time you take a photo, or you can let your camera choose when to activate the flash bulb. Considering how difficult and expensive it is to replace the flash bulb on your smartphone, I recommend shutting off your flash bulb before taking a photo. You want to do that? Get a digital camera. The next icon you will see is a clock. This will let you set a timer on your camera. That means you can pose for a photo before your camera actually takes the photo. You can tell the camera to wait 2 seconds before taking the photo. Or you can tell it to wait 5 seconds or even 10 seconds. Plenty of time to pose for. That means that if you're all by yourself and you have nobody to hold the smartphone to take the photo, you can do that. The next icon you will see controls the aspect ratio of your photos. I covered aspect ratios earlier in this video. The final icon you will see is a magic wand. I will let you experiment with this particular camera icon. Feel free to leave information you learn about this icon in the comments below. Alright, now I want to thank you guys very, very much for being so patient and learning so much stuff from me today. And I'm sure you're going to love this video. Alright, in my next tutorial, I will teach you how to use all the features. Yes, your smartphone has a calculator, and some of it has scientific functions. You will want to know how all of that stuff works, because that can come very handy if you are in class doing homework, you know, so on and so forth. Yeah, you could actually do scientific calculations on your smartphone. I bet you didn't know that. So, when you see me next time, you will learn how to do all this. Alright, this is the Ted the Speed Learner signing off. I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.